Canada's Auditor General has released her latest reports assessing the effectiveness of government services. Karen Hogan covered a range of topics, including cybersecurity and the rollout of the National Child Care Program. We're going to focus on two of Hogan's reports. The first one examines response times and service from the Canada Revenue Agency. As many Canadians know, it doesn't matter who you are, getting through to a real agent can be tough.
Remember, I could help my dad with his tax return, but he always preferred calling the Canada Revenue Agency to get an answer. So I can appreciate that many people want to call and speak to someone.
The CBC's Karina Roman is on this story, and she joins us live from our Ottawa bureau. So, Karina, the CRA has been chastised before for its sluggish service. Has it improved?
Nope. It has not. No. 2017, there was a scathing report. I remember it well because I was still here then and I reported on it. Guess what? In a lot of cases, it's gotten worse. There's still a failure to answer calls in both a timely and accurate manner. And I'm going to throw some numbers at our viewers. So the service standard right now is that CRA will answer 65% of the calls it receives within 15 minutes. And I should note that that is a lower standard than in 2017. So they lowered the standard, and still just 18% were answered in 15 minutes in 2024-2025. This past June, fewer than 5%. They also, which doesn't really get counted in this, deflected 8.6 million calls last year. That means those people didn't even get an option to speak to an agent. And that is up from 1.4 million the year before. So a huge surge in deflected calls. Overall, Karen Hogan says that the average time to wait, I suppose if you're lucky, is nearly 33 minutes and really nearly an hour to actually get an answer. And those answers, only 17% on non-account specific individual taxes were accurate. 17%. So after tabling her reports, Karen Hogan appeared at the Public Accounts Committee. Here's a little bit of what she had to say.
Our tax system is a voluntary one, and Canadians are expected to provide their tax returns on time with accurate information. And I think in return, they should expect that the Canada Revenue Agency will be available in a timely fashion and provide them with accurate information. And what we're seeing is that is not the case.
It also gets worse than that because CRA, according to the Auditor General, is not getting full value of its contract with IBM, which handles the telephony service. Now, CRA is one of three government organizations that use this service, have this contract with IBM. Of those three entities, for those three entities, the contract was a minimum of $50 million over 10 years. That was the contract. That has ballooned for all three entities, so not just the CRA, to $190 million. And that is without getting all of the services promised. So, for example, they were supposed to get real-time updates on your queue position when you're on hold. That's not happening. But there's even a bigger red flag than that, and that is that the invoices for this contract are not being validated. Have a listen.
There were enough red flags here for me, and my inability to conclude on value for money is such that I will be starting an audit on the management of this contract so that it would inform the future contract for call center services that Shared Services Canada has just released.
So the story obviously continues if there's going to be another audit. I should point out that this report makes 5 main recommendations and adds an appendix with the recommendations from the 2017 audit, many of which clearly were not followed.
So many years later. Okay, and Hogan also looked at the military in her reports. What did she have to say about the Canadian Forces?
Well, the military housing is being mismanaged. National Defence does not have enough living spaces in the right locations to meet the needs of its forces. They did not plan enough units. They had identified thousands of residential housing units that they would need, in 2019, but the plan, just the plan, left a gap. Like, they didn't plan for enough housing is basically what the finding is there. And they don't know, or they didn't at the time, know where the anticipated future recruits would be based. They also mismatch their housing with personnel, so sometimes they too small, not enough rooms if you obviously have a family, too big, the wrong start date is entered in, so you show up for work on the base and you don't have a place to live. And even that is not really what she focused on the most in terms of questions, because one thing that came loud and clear through this report is the state of military housing. They don't know the condition in terms of the DND, but they certainly have a better idea now after this audit. Have a listen.
So there was 32 out of 35 of the buildings that needed at least one high priority repair. And so what would that look like? Well, that might mean that that building didn't have safe drinking water. So there was improvements needed to the drinking system. Toilets weren't working, or there was structural damage to the exterior walls of the buildings. The kind of conditions that you and I wouldn't want to live in.
So obviously not a good report card on that. Not surprising, there's also a military report on recruitment. We've done lots of stories. My colleague Murray Brewster, for example, on the challenges in recruiting more military members. It turns out that not only are they falling short in terms of by thousands about how many people are signing up to and applying to be part of the military, but you actually still get thousands of people doing that. The problem is only 1 in 13 become on track to start basic training, and they don't even know why tens of thousands of applicants do not complete the recruitment process. So how do you fix a problem when you don't know the reason for it?
These are good questions. Karina, thank you. The CBC's Karina Roman live in Ottawa.